Hello. Okay, so today we're going to look at a passage from one of Shakespeare's most famous plays, Hamlet. You may have heard of it. I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown as to what happens in the play leading up to the scene that you're going to look at. So, Hamlet is the son of the King and Queen of Denmark. So he is the Prince of Denmark. I'm hoping that you can see that okay. He's at university in Paris. While he's there, he gets a message saying that his father has died. The king's dead. So he leaves Paris and he travels back to Denmark. The castle there is called Elsinore. But because it's, back in the 1200s, there's no cars, there's no aeroplanes. Basically, you either walk, ride a horse, and sail. He would have had to go on a sailing boat for some of the journey. So it takes him about 4 weeks. When he gets there, he finds that his mum Gertrude, the queen, has married Hamlet's father's brother. In other words, Gertrude's brother-in-law, Claudius. So Claudius has become the king. He is now Hamlet's uncle, but also his father. And Gertrude is his mother, but also his aunt. Straight away, Hamlet's not happy with this situation because he thinks that it's really rude of his mother to get married again so quickly after her husband has died. He's also not happy thinking that his mother has been incestuous and has jumped into bed with her brother-in-law. So he starts to experience some anxiety and falls into... he's already upset because his father's died, who he loved very much. But now things have been made worse. Well, later on that night, Hamlet goes for a walk on the castle walls and he sees the ghost of his dead father. And the ghost tells him that he didn't die of natural causes. He tells him that he was murdered by his own brother, Claudius. Whilst the king was asleep, Claudius snuck up and poured some mercury into his ear and basically fried his brain. Now, of course, this plunges Hamlet even further into anger, grief, indecision. He's even more angry with his mother. Was his mother involved, or did she not know anything about it? Did Gertrude plan it with Claudius? Was Gertrude having an affair with Claudius before the king died? All this sort of stuff starts going through his head. But you can't just walk up to the king and say, "You killed my father, I'm going to stab you." Can't do that. Because the king would just go, "No, I didn't. Guards, seize him. He's mad." So Hamlet has to start thinking about how is he going to bring it to light that this evil murder has happened. In the meantime, these two start to think, there's something wrong with Hamlet. He's not his usual self. What's wrong with him? He seems very sad. He seems to be miserable. I wonder why. So what they do is, they get a guy called Polonius, who is kind of like the king's right-hand man, the king's chief servant, almost like maybe a prime minister, so to speak. And his daughter Ophelia to try and find out what's wrong with Hamlet. Now, Ophelia did have a relationship with Hamlet before Hamlet went to university. They were in love. Okay? It was that teenage, they were about 14, 15, 16. So they did have a thing going on. Hamlet decides that he is going to set a trap for Claudius. What he does is he gets some actors who are visiting the castle to put on a play, but Hamlet writes the script himself. And in the script he writes it that the king's brother kills the king, just like what happened in real life. And he wants to see the reaction of the king, but also the reaction of his mother, to see if she was in on it. Now, the actors perform the play, and right at the bit where the actor king's brother pours the poison into the actor king's ear, he sees the king stand up, and the king gets triggered, and he thinks the king storms out and says, "Oh, what's going on here? This is ridiculous," and all that sort of stuff. Well, the Queen, Gertrude, Hamlet's mother, she's like, "Whoa, Claudius, what's going on? Why are you upset by that?" So Hamlet works out that Gertrude wasn't in on the murder of her husband, Hamlet's father. So in the scene that you're going to be looking at, Hamlet is on his way to speak to his mother, to tell her how he's feeling, what he's thinking, and maybe even to bring up what he heard the ghost say, the fact that that Hamlet's father was murdered by Claudius. So yeah, now you need to move on to the next part, which is looking at the script.